momentum behind him. He just had a win. I was going to say a good win. It wasn't a great win, but he had a win over Tyson Pedro. You know, who's done some things in the sport and he's got a bit of a name. Tyson retired. I kind of feel, and I don't want to badmouth Tyson Pedro, but I kind of feel like he knew he was going to retire and his heart wasn't really in that fight. I've definitely seen a better motivated Tyson Pedro than that fight. I'm forgetting off the top of my head, I think he's 12 or 13-0, so he's undefeated. Like he's a hard hitter, he's not the fastest, he doesn't have the highest output. You know, I respect you for taking the fight, but you've got to, I'm assuming you feel some pressure in some ways, but the only advice that I could give to you, Anthony, and we were talking about it a little bit off air, is that you've got to give this everything you have. You know what I mean? You've got to cut out all outside distractions. You've got to be able to look yourself in the mirror when it's all said and done and say, I did the work, I made the I cut out the distractions, I did the running, I followed the diet, I didn't drink the alcohol, I did everything I could to ensure that I show up at UFC 301 as the best version of myself. If you do all that and you still don't lose the fight, well then so be it, and that will still suck, but at least you're not going to beat yourself up and torture yourself throughout eternity. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because I do believe this is an important fight for the narrative of your journey. You know what I'm saying?
100%. And I think I'm having so much fun because of the mental switch a little bit. I just thought, like we talked about this after the last fight, where I think that I let the title blind me at times. I'm just so concerned with it, so worried about it. And I'm just not worried about it right now. Like, if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We'll just figure that out as we go. But I always have this plan in my head, like, okay, I'm going to beat this guy, and then this guy's going to beat that guy, and then this guy will probably beat him, and then I'll try to fight that guy. And I'll walk my way all the way to how I can get to a title fight. And with it, I think it piled to my judgment because I'm so concerned with it. So what me and my longtime jiu-jitsu coach, he's the longest standing coach I've ever, from the very beginning, day one. If it was up to him, you know, he's like, maybe we just do jiu-jitsu forever. But we made this deal. Like, we're just gonna fight one fight at a time, and let's just go all in, one at a time. Whether that's once a year, twice a year, whatever that ends up being. Like, all out, 100%, give it everything I got. And then every single fight, we'll get through it and we'll reevaluate and see where we are. And if we got to work on some jiu-jitsu, then we take off some time a little bit, close up some holes there. We need to work on some wrestling or whatever we need to do. And then we just take another one. We go all in on that one, and then we just reevaluate after each individual fight. I feel like you do that enough times, I'm likely to find myself in a pretty good spot. So, but I can't do that if I don't, like, systematically just, like, we only have to, I got to stop worrying about everything else. I got to stop being like, okay, so I'm going to go in here, I'm going to beat Vitor, and then I already have the next step planned. I got to stop worrying about the next step. Yeah. I got to stop worrying about it.
You haven't. Because for me, on my journey, obviously I had the eye issue. Right? So I was just so grateful to still being able to fight, you know, and I went through a little bit of a phase where I would win one, I would lose one. I would win one and I would lose one. And I was getting paid good money, right? I always did. I've always been very grateful for that. So I was still so appreciative to be able to be in the position to A, compete in the sport that I love, and B, provide for my family whilst doing that. You know, so that was just, I was just looking at it from, you know, the glass half full kind of lens. And then, before you know, you're doing that, so I lost one, I gotta win the next one, I won one, and then the next one you lose that, then you win one. But then all of a sudden, before you know it, I've pieced together a 3-fight winning streak, and then an opportunity comes out of the blue. You know, because I've won 3 in a row, and I've been around forever, and I've had a lot of high-profile fights. I had the name. You know what I mean? So there's no reason why you can't do that. You're still only 35 years old. You know what I'm saying? Focus on Vitor Petrino. Whatever the hell happens after that, who cares?
I'll cross that bridge the Sunday morning afterwards.
If you get hit by a bus tomorrow, you know what I mean?
Right.
Stop thinking about what's going to happen in 2 years' time. Stop stressing out about the belt or trying to get to. Of course you want to be the champ. Everybody on this roster wants to be the champion. You know what I mean? But it's steps. The first
Well,
step.
I think that's a life lesson. I think what you said right there is a life lesson, not just for fighting or for me. I think just in life in general. Sometimes I felt like if I wasn't constantly thinking about the title or trying to roadmap myself to it, I almost convinced myself that means I care enough. Like, well, no, like if I'm not completely focused on it, then I'm not dialed in. And I think I've just tricked myself. You know, I think just in life in general, for everybody at home, you could just take it one step at a time and stop worrying about it. It's like that stereotypical cliche that Mark Montoya says all the time. Stop worrying about the destination and just focus on the journey that you're on. And I used to always like, yeah, I get it. Well, like now I'm thinking, finally at 35, I think I'm figuring out what he means by that. Like, stop worrying about the title and just, like, I just am really, me and Chris Gutierrez actually have had this kind of pact with each other in the gym. Well, I think both of us, you know, like you've been in training sessions and you're going over jabs, right? How many times have you been in that training session going over jabs and crosses or something? And so sometimes you just zone out, like, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like, so I've been trying, me and Chris have been holding each other accountable. Like,
oh God, here we go, sure not to escape side control again.
Yeah, same shit.
I know how to do. I know how to wall walk. I know how to jab. Go on, you were saying.
But and that's the mindset that you get sometimes when you've been around a long time. So we're I guess just trying to hold each other accountable. And like if I look over at him and it seems like he's a little bit zoned out, let's go tap him and say, hey, we gotta check back in. Like maybe it's a small detail that we're missing. It could make a big difference later on. Like let's tune in to like what's really like just be where your feet are and pay attention. So I'm just focused on one training session at a time. I'm not even worried about what Friday looks like. I'm just focused on today and trying to be super present with where I am.
Well, and that's great to hear. And the final word, and then we're going to move on, if you don't mind, because this isn't the let's give a pep talk to Anthony Smith podcast. I like to talk about this stuff, I do, but Jesus, we got people biting people, Anthony. We got to get to that. No. Final thing I'll say, and this might sound like an insult, but it's not, because I know that you're still a very hungry man, right? I know that, and I know, even though everything we've just said, focus on the journey, not the destination. I know you still want to become a champion. You can't, but right now you've got a very comfortable life. You've got a great life. You earn good money when you fight, right? You've had a lot of fights, and now I don't know your actual pay, but I know you get paid handsomely every time you fight. So you've got money in the bank.
Yeah.
You've got ESPN. You've got the award-winning podcast that never wins an award. You've got a lot of opportunities. You know what I mean? You've made money, so life's comfortable. But don't settle for that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because you can do more. You know, whilst yes, you want to focus on the journey and not the destination, and you can go on Instagram and see a million memes and cliches and stoicisms and shit like that. But do you want to be the champ? Because all this other shit right now, all this shit that you can do is still going to be there afterwards, whether you become the champion or not. You know what I mean? So you have to, some things in the short term, you've got to stop. You know what I mean? You got to stop seeing the boys. You got to stop getting on flights. You got to stop eating the foods that you like, having a cheeky Moscow Mule, and certainly not through a straw.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Straw. No more straws and mules.
Short-term sacrifices will lead to long-term goals and gains. Good looking training camp, you sexy beast. Yeah. So you're up there in Colorado right now, freezing your balls off.
You know, it was 70 when I left over the weekend. I came back and it's 18 degrees and snowing. So freezing my ass off. I got the heat pumped in the apartment.
Let's go. All right, today's episode is brought to you by 8 Sleep, and this is going to solve all your sleeping problems and dramatically improve your sleep going forward, because the Matt just covered, the 8 Sleep pod goes right on top of it. By the way, it's super easy to set up. You download the app, right? You can set everything you want. It shows you all your health, all testing, how you want. 25, 30 minutes, we're going to have the one, the only, the former, I do believe, 2-time strawweight champion of the UFC. I am, of course, talking about the victorious Doug Rose Namajunas. joining us, who was victorious at the weekend. So we'll save the discussion on her fight for then. We got the first fight of the night. It's two Brazilians. They came off the Contender Series. I can't even remember the names. I can look it up, but it's not essential to the story. Right. Sereno or something, I forget. Doesn't matter. We don't need to know his name.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
We ain't going to be saying that name again. So I'm watching the fights, right? I'm sitting on the couch. I've just been out. We've gone for a walk. We've had a bit of lunch. I'm sitting there, you know, looking at the phone, the whole thing. And I think it's the first fight. I needed to go to the bathroom. I needed to dump. Right? You gotta go.
It happens.
It's a natural bodily function. People like to scoff and go, "Ew, we all do it." I thought now's the time to do it because it's the first fight of the night. If there's one that I can afford to miss, it's this one. I go, yeah, logical. I sit on the toilet and then I just hear Paul Felder and everyone losing their minds. I'm like, ah, shit. And then John, who's my YouTube editor, goes, "Oh my God, did you see that somebody just got bit?" I'm like, what the hell? And I tried to back it up on ESPN Plus, but you can't back it up. Anyway, I've seen it everywhere. What the hell?
What did he do? This was biting the shit out of him.
Bite of the night. That's insane, man. That is insane.
Play with that.
Well, I don't think he did think he would get it. Well, because I don't think he was thinking in the moment. It's a shame for that guy. And there's the bite mark there, and he actually got it tattooed. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see it.
He turned the bite mark into a tattoo, which is really cool, actually. Rebecca thought, why is he doing that? Listen, he's a skilled mixed martial artist. He was looking good. Apparently, he was undefeated. They both were. Yeah. I don't know much about where he's from in Brazil, but I'm assuming it's a tough part of town. Right?
Yeah. It's not the first person who's been, I would imagine.
Because you got to be a certain type of person to resort to biting somebody. He wasn't even getting his ass kicked. He wasn't even getting choked out. You know, like, if you get choked out and you're like, you bastard, give him a little nibble. You know what I mean? You're winning. You're in the driver's seat and you just fall. Oh, my man.
Fuck you. I don't. My brain can't compute that. That's where I'm having I know I'm like speechless over here, but I don't understand it. Like, you're not losing, you're not getting pummeled, where you feel like you got to go into fight or flight and, like, you know, you're rocked, maybe you don't know where you are, and you just grab a hold of something and bite it. Like, it was even weird how he did it, like from the back of his arm, like,
yeah,
nuzzled his nose in there like a puppy, like trying to cuddle and bit the shit out of him. It's weird. It's so weird. What a bad look for us.
Well, it's unfortunately we're not in 2003 when we were called human cockfighting. You would come a long way since then. But like, if you think of gentlemanly conduct, you know what I mean, like what you call it, fair game in the boxing in the gypsy world. They'll fight with a fist. If someone hits the floor, you don't follow them down. And a lot of boxing crews still think that what we do is crazy. You know what I mean? You see people getting elbowed in the face and all the rest of it. Yeah, well, who in the right mind, even on the streets, in a street fight, unless you're going to get murdered, you do whatever you can. Unless the guys, you know what I mean, come to your house and they're trying to really do something bad, then whatever you can find, you know what I mean. But if you're getting into a one-on-one fight and you resort to biting the guy, I'm sorry, that's disgusting, utterly disgusting.
Yeah, you don't bite, you don't grab the balls, you gotta keep it gentlemanly.
A knee in the balls?
Knee in the balls is okay. Grabbing them is weird.
I would knee. People always talk about just kneeing in the balls, but I've never done that. I'll just go for the knockout shot. I'd rather punch you in the face than knee in the balls, bro.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Knee in
like
the
if
balls.
you were like in a life or death situation, I always think it's weird when you see those. What do you call
the balls?
The charlatans that teach martial arts online and they pull up that bullshit. Like they're always like, and then the groin strike with the knee. Like, if my goal is to kill you, like it's gonna take more than a ball shot in the tummy. It's probably not gonna stop me.
And I always talk about this in mixed martial arts. You know, when people go to shoot a double leg takedown and they go to fire the knee, you know, to knee them in the face as they're coming in. If you time it perfectly to where the patella, the actual knee, the hard part of the knee connects with the face, that's fantastic. But it's not very often you see people time it perfectly. A lot of the time, you connect with the thigh, the soft, meaty part of the thigh, and that doesn't hurt too much. And you give them the takedown.
Like you really just gave them a single leg.
You're just giving them a takedown, bro.
Yeah.
Uppercuts are best. I'm not sure why I got onto this.
It's a good point, though.
Is that what?
It's a great point, though, that a lot of people miss. Like, well, just time the knee. Oh, yeah, just feed them a takedown.
Uppercut them.
Yeah.
You know why?
See, I don't throw a lot of uppercuts because I don't know why. I think it's the shoulder dip that throws me off when I go to load it, and then I throw it. I don't think I exit fast enough because I always get countered on the way out. Always.
I always like to uppercut if they're coming in, because even if you miss the uppercut, the underhook is right there. The underhook is right. All you're going to do is that. The underhook is there to defend the takedown. At least you get one underhook in. You know what I mean? Like an uppercut, you're coming in with an underhook. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
I've got to get over to Factory Expo and then give you some data. Jesus Christ, I've got so much knowledge.
Mike, we got a great team here. All we got, you let me know. I'll get my people a hold of your people, and we'll fly you here to Denver tomorrow. Tomorrow morning.
Number one, I'm joking. Secondly, the pressure I would feel would be unbelievable. I have not coached anything in years. I remember
you don't need to actually coach, though. It's like it's not like you're coaching a team. Just be like detail stuff with a friend.
He's doing great, Mark. He's doing great. I'd like to see him keep his left hand up a little bit, maybe check those kicks. But you guys
I've been checking kicks like a I've been checking kicks like crazy. It's been great.
Well, carry on checking them for the next bloody 8 weeks, you prick. Is that and Harrington and Brian? Welcome to the show, everybody. Biting somebody. Take the hat off, Harrington. That wasn't on before.
You can leave it on.
No, you can put it back.
No, we prefer it actually if you just put it back.
Yeah, on or off, it's your call. I'm just messing with you, Harrington. Come on, buddy. Welcome to the show, boys. Let's have a round table discussion. Is that the worst foul we've ever seen in the UFC?
I think so. If not, it has to be up there. I mean, a bite? We've never seen a bite in the UFC before, right? It's like as bad as a blatant eye gouge.
I was gonna say there's that. I thought that Mike would go with the eye gouge, the Cachoeira.
Oh yeah.
Eye gouging the shit out of.
Still Cachoeira.
Yeah. I remember she was eye gouging the shit out of someone. Had her in a rear naked choke, and she was like going back and thumbing the hell out of her eye. I thought that one was pretty bad.
Johnny Robinson on the same level.
The Paul Daly one against Josh Koscheck, but that was kind of after the fight. But again, I like Paul. I've known him for a long time. Yeah. But that was, you were asking to get kicked out of the organization with that one. I just Googled the list here, and it has the 5 worst, but this was 2022. Rafael Natal versus Uriah Hall. What happened there?
So he started the fight. There was like bad blood between them, and he started the fight with like literally a punt kick right to the groin. Like it was very blatant nut shot.
Piotr Jan, Aljamain Sterling is in there at number 3.
Ooh, look at what's number 1 on that list.
What is it?
Are you on Sports Tier? John Jones versus Anthony Smith is number 1.
That was a pretty blatant knee to the face. I'm sorry.
That was a pretty nasty one.
It was.
I'm surprised I didn't make it for Jorge Rivera.
I was gonna say, well, that one guy, the English guy, got all angry and started screaming and hollering.
Yeah, well, he's a goddamn prick. Real quick before we move on from what happened Saturday night.
He definitely got cut, right?
Oh, Dana fired him immediately.
And he gave the other guy a $50,000 bite of the night bonus.
Nice.
And on top of that, Nevada State Athletic Commission stepped in. They said they are keeping his $10K that was in escrow as well. So he's walking away completely empty-handed from that fight.
Good.
Well, you have to be held accountable. You go out there, you get flown to Las Vegas, you put on a big platform like ESPN, and then you're going to go out there and bite somebody. You've got to be held accountable. Let alone, that could be deemed. At what point does what you're doing in the octagon, if you've got blatant disregard for the rule sets, at what point does that become assault?
At
some point that's illegal. Yeah, at some point that's illegal.
You know what I'm saying? just because you're in a fight, we have a set of rules which are agreed upon by the Athletic Commission. Biting people never has, was, or is a part of that. You can't go out there and it's one step away from pulling out a baseball bat covered in barbed wire. Same shit. That's not allowed.
I just want to ask you guys, because I was talking to somebody in our ad sales team about that, and they were like, dude, that's got to be like a grounds for suing, right? Like, there's got to be a civil suit there. And I was like, I don't know, because these guys, like you've said before, Michael, you sign a piece of paper that says, if I die in that cage, it's, I'm assuming that responsibility. So biting has to be covered under that, right?
No. I don't quote me on this, but I do seem to recall, and I have not studied the UFC contracts in quite some time, but I seem to remember back in 2006 or 5 when I first got it, and I did just have a little skim through it, and I did see some verbiage about if you die, it's a shame, but you can't then
If he dies, he dies.
If he dies, he dies. But if you get bit, you're not agreeing to get bit. You're not agreeing that someone's going to sneak a knife in.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you definitely get prosecuted if you did some, like, weird video game shit, like put concrete in your gloves or something stupid like that, you know?
Well,
like, you go to jail.
There's been civil suits for guys like pack their boxing gloves, and then they get, they find it out later, and they're able to sue that fighter for whatever damages they were able to prove. So, I mean, there's got to be some case of a civil suit there. If you bite me, I don't know that I'm suing, but you're getting jumped in the parking lot for sure.
Do you know of any old school cheating techniques, Anthony? One that they used to do long time ago. Now you probably can't get away with it, certainly in America, because we have the commissions. But you know the tape that they wrap your hands with? What they used to do was put it on a wall and then roll it up and then up and down, and it makes like a rock hard piece of tape. You do that loads of times. You put it on there, and then you cover it up with regular flat tape. So underneath that, it's hard as hell, and that's an old Dutch trick from one of
that feels like assault with a deadly weapon.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I think people still do this, but not anybody that I know personally, but I can't imagine that they don't. And you've heard, you hear some people bitching about it. Back in the day, guys used to take, like when they're cutting weight, they'd use the bathtub or whatever, or the night before the fight or the morning of. They would take a hot bath and put a shit ton of baby oil in the water with them.
Yeah, of course.
And then their body would suck up the baby oil. But then when you get off and you're dry and you wipe off, your skin's normal. The second you start to sweat, though, you're just sweating baby oil out of your pores and they can't grapple.
So
that was a classic.
George St. Pierre, right?
Yeah.
No, he's George St. Pierre doing that.
Brian, do not slander the good name of George St. Pierre.
Oh, I'm not.
Christ, how dare you? What are you going to say next? O'Malley had gel in his hair?
What a mess all that has turned out to be. Like the post-fight fallout from that.
Nah, it's all good. Harrington, talking about what we were saying earlier, number 6 in the notes. Break it down.
Yes, so Ron DeSantis has passed a bill where in Florida, if you are under the age of 14, you are not going to be allowed to have a social media account starting in January of 2025. Anybody who currently has one under the age of 14 years old, it will be deleted. Worth noting, Meta's terms of service state that you have to be at least 13 to have a social media platform. So.
Right. So if you've got to be 13 and they're making the law 14, okay, no, thanks for mentioning that last part, Hamilton, because essentially it doesn't change anything anyway. But I think I know for a fact that I've signed Lucas up and my other kids to stuff when they were younger than that. I've just said, just change your date of birth or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I'm not talking social media stuff, but you know what I mean? I forget what it was now. I truly do forget what it was. But anyway, how do you feel about that? Just as a concept, 14 and under, or under 14, no social media?
I think it really depends on what kind of parent you are. My kids won't be on social media for them anyways, but, well, sort of. My oldest daughter has TikTok, but it's extremely monitored. There's crazy settings, and she really doesn't do much on it. It's her and her 10 friends. But I know where Brian's going to go with this because he doesn't like the government overreach. But I don't disagree. I don't disagree. I don't think I'm fine with children 14 and under not being on social media. I think that's probably for the best. If we're being, when is social media? I guess it wasn't a thing when you were that young, but
No, it wasn't when I was young, for sure. I think it's absolutely for the best. I mean, going back to what we said before, talking about your fights, talking about DC, even big, tough guys like you and Daniel Cormier, it still affects you. We were talking last week, we had Rebecca on, we had a little segment, it was one Thursday, we were talking about bullying. You know, these young, impressionable girls, they get bullied. They feel under so much pressure and strain to look like other girls. That's why the filters are out of control. You know what I mean? Good luck if you're on one of these, like, Tinder websites and you're looking at it and you think that's what you're going to go and meet up with? No, bro.
Yeah, those things would make you and I even good looking.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? But for young men as well, you know what I mean? It's I don't understand, other than obviously learning stuff, looking at stuff, judging people, all the rest of it. I don't understand what benefit they would get out of it anyway.
No, I think all the benefits they're going to get out of it are going to be negative, probably. Anything they take from it long term is going to be negative. And it's really for my wife and I at least, it's the bullying factor, because like Snapchat, it's funny we even brought this up, because I was actually just listening to, I'm really boring, guys. I've listened to congressional hearings a lot, and they have the CEO of Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and Discord. We're all at this congressional hearing, like forced to be there. And essentially Congress was like trying to put some, like figure out what the hell's going on and how do we keep kids safe and all the, you know, the sex trafficking and all the
I saw that
the images.
Yeah.
Did we? But anyways.
Oh, no. Sorry, on a Thursday.
Okay. But like, just for my wife and I, that's what it is. It's the bullying and I mean, social media is a window for anybody to come in through right into your kids' phones. And I just don't think they're old enough at that point to manage that and navigate it.
No, for sure. And then there's the other side. Obviously, there's drugs being sold via social media and Snapchat and all the rest of it. We talked about that. But also, like, you don't get reality on social. Very rarely. You get people's best ideological version of life. We're all happy. Everything's perfect. Look at us. I've got the perfect relationship. I've got loads of money. I've got a beautiful car. We're eating in the finest restaurants. You know, we're flying here. Look at our hotel. And 9 times out of 10, it's bullshit. And they're putting forward this want to be reality that doesn't exist for them. You know what I mean?
It's all fake.
Like most of the time, and Brian just looked this up. There has been a survey, but you know, most of these couples, I mean, Rebecca, we've got a great relationship. We're not out there professing our undying love for each other every 5 minutes on social media. You know what I mean? And it turns out the majority of these people that are, they're the ones that break up. They're the ones that have no real foundation in their relationships. I don't know what the Google search is, Brian, but there is a Google search, and I want you to come up with stats, the info, the percentages.
I say this all the time. Anytime I see, like, you see a couple on Instagram or Facebook, or, you know, my wife's got, I don't have Facebook, my wife has it, and she'll be like, oh, look at this. And it's like these random couples that are just constantly talking about how great they are and how much fun they have and how much they love their partner. And I always joke with Michaela and say, oh, I wish I loved my wife that much. Like, I just don't get it. Like, I thought for the longest time, like, are we the only ones that aren't, like, super PDA and, like, mushy? Like, oh, no, we have an actual, real life, functioning marriage. That's a goddamn shit show going on over there, and they're probably on their up and down roller coasters. I love you, I hate you, I love you, I hate you. Like, I think we're the normal ones, probably, Mike.
Yeah, it's because, as you say, you have a real relationship. You don't need to put it out there for the world to see. If you and your partner know that, it doesn't matter. You don't need to put it out there to the world.
Right.
Your partner knows, you know. Other than that, it's nobody's business. And people don't want to see that all the time. Who do you think you're impressing? You know? I mean, granted, sometimes, you know, they'll be like, oh, God, look at these. They're cracked it. Love you guys. Great. Nobody cares.
Yeah, nobody says that. Oh, do you see Mike and Rebecca today?
Oh, it's
nobody says that. They just scroll
Sometimes
by
I
and
might
say,
be
"Oh,
like,
they're mad at each other. They must be fighting."
yeah, or if on the rare occasion she looks good, I'll be like, let's get a picture. Let's celebrate
On the
this
rare
moment.
occasion.
I'm like, Jesus, you've really pulled yourself together tonight. You've been on the treadmill. Let's celebrate this. Let's get a picture on. Joe, she's beautiful.
Here's your stats. Brian put them up there for you.
Yeah, this isn't the one I saw this, but I'll read it out, Brian. It's not the stat I wanted because I did see it, but it says data suggests that social media is now a factor in 1 in 7 divorces, with a similar number admitting that they look online for evidence that their partner has been unfaithful. Social media has also been cited. Yeah, exactly. No, it does contribute to the demise of relationships. But there was another study done recently where it showed that the majority of these people that are always going on about how perfect life is, turns out it's not perfect. And I don't know how we got onto this. How did we get onto this?
The social media
TikTok
ban
ban.
in Florida. Yeah.
Not good for kids. Brian, you want to
Is
say
it
please?
just TikTok or is it just TikTok or Brian?
Well, TikTok's going to be a thing of the past soon anyway, because they're trying to get rid of that unless it's sold to a non-Chinese company.
We should buy
I
it.
don't think they'd let that happen.
I'll buy it.
Yeah. Oh, you got that kind of money?
No, we're gonna need a loan. We're gonna need a loan.
Start a GoFundMe to buy TikTok.
As much as I hate government overreach and them telling me that I can't do things in the royal sense, I don't think social media should exist in general. I think that the way that it's set up is literally to destroy society and Western culture in particular. I'm okay with this.
Yeah, okay, all right. I mean, that's a Brian take. It's designed to destroy culture.
Well, I mean, the government did
civilization.
use it like during.
It is designed to destroy
during
culture.
COVID,
It's not designed to destroy culture.
100%
It's
it is.
initially designed for people to keep in touch with one another.
Well,
It's
Facebook
designed to
initially,
control.
Facebook was initially just for college. Like
It has morphed into a control mechanism for the powers that
when
be.
Facebook first came out, I couldn't even have Facebook because I didn't go to
Yeah.
college, and it came out
Me
like
too.
my senior year.
Yeah.
I didn't have a
No,
college
of
email.
course. Instagram, to start with, was a photography.
God, it was so stupid too. Like when it first came out, this shit's stupid. I'm not
Yeah,
getting on this
Instagram was a photography app.
Yeah.
It evolved into what it is today. Now, of course, given the algorithms and government stepping in where they shouldn't be doing, and it is used for other things. But the destruction of society, I'm just going to throw it out there. That's a step too far, and I'm just going to throw it out there as well. Kate Middleton is not dead. She's not murdered by the elites, Brian.
Arguably.
Off the screen. Off the screen.
Was he arguing that she was dead?
She's been murdered, Michael. She's been murdered. That's the conspiracy. How about this? She's sick. It's a private matter. It's nobody's goddamn business. She's
I
got
watched the
children.
video.
She's
She
got
popped up and got cancer.
She's got cancer, the poor woman. She
Yeah,
doesn't want to
sad.
talk about it. Maybe her kids don't know. You know what I mean? But everyone's really talking about it. All right, guys, let's talk about Sheath Underwear, the official underwear of the UFC, and of course, this podcast. Sheath sponsored us a long time ago, and I am so glad that they are back because official. Maybe busy. Go who, anyway, what do you say? Where do we go? Bro. Doug Rose, we'll talk about that. Sean Strickland may be busy. Though rumors are swirling that he is in negotiations to fight Hamzat Chimaev in Saudi Arabia. Hold on. But Robert Whitaker said that I can see them making, he said that he's hoping that Drickers fights Izzy. He said I can see them UFC making that fight Izzy because of the bad blood between Izzy and Drickers, because of South Africa. I can't really see the UFC getting behind Sean Strickland again. I don't think they loved him as a champ to begin with, so I don't think they're really gunning for that rematch. I don't know. I'm kind of hoping Drickers gets Izzy in a sense so that I can fight Sean Strickland. So Robert is calling for Strickland. Rumors online is that Strickland's fighting Hamzat. What does Anthony Smith say?
I like the Hamzat Strickland fight. I don't know that the UFC probably hated Strickland as a champion. Whether it's abrasive or not, he draws. So I don't know that they probably care too much about that. I don't think that probably matters. I think they're just looking for the best next fight, and I don't think that they redo that fight. I don't think people are begging for it. Typically, when you see a mini rematches like that, I think it's when the fans want it and the crowd wants it. I do think Strickland could get one more win and probably get a title shot right away, though.
Well, Sean's been beating the drum a bit lately, saying it's bullshit. You know, everybody gets immediate rematches, and we spoke about that.
Hey.
But never mind that. Look at this. The one and only Thug Rose making the debut on the world's best MMA podcast. Rose, thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. Of course, Anthony Smith. Don't need to make an introduction there. How the hell are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, it's long overdue. We were just talking before, so we've never had Rose on. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
You scare me, Rose. I'm very intimidated by you. You know what I mean? I see you when you're locked in fight week and you've got the overalls on, you've got the shaved head and you're stoic and you're looking tough. I'm like, I'm not messing with her.
Yeah.
Talk us through the fight Saturday night, and congratulations on a great victory.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it was definitely not like the easiest fight. You know, there was some back and forth moments. I think overall I dominated. You know, I had a couple slip up moments, or you know, some shots got in, but overall I was happy with my performance. There were some things that I had worked on in the camp that I wish I could have showed itself. You know, I think I know I'm capable of a lot better. I know I was capable of, like, if I could do it over again, I definitely you know, would look for more finishing opportunities. But overall, I had a lot of pressure on me, so I was like, I'm just happy I got the job done.
Rose, like, I've always admired you and Pat, and like your transparency on like what's going on in your head and where you're at in life. And I try to do the same, and you know, I'm constantly talking about therapy and trying to keep my shit together in my own head. You were kind of out for a while, and we didn't hear much from you. And then, you know, you pop up, you got this awesome fight, and everyone's pumped about it. But what does that time away look like? Like, what are you doing? Because you said you had a lot of pressure, so I'm assuming you probably had a long training camp. It always seems like yours are kind of long. Like, what does that all look like in your head as you're trying to work it all out?
Yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of what we do, you know, I think we end up making things bigger than what they are, you know. But so that's definitely what I did. I mean, there was definitely a lot of life changes that I had. I been taking care of my 86-year-old grandmother from Lithuania, so that was a huge thing. Yeah, I moved. I bought a new house, so like there was a bunch of like stuff like that outside of fighting, and then obviously within my career, just making that transition to 125 itself was, you know, there was I guess many, you know, things that I had to adjust, but you know, not too bad. It was just something to do. And then coming off of 2 losses in a row, that was tough. And then, yeah, because that's never happened before. So I think I kind of like pushed it out of my mind, but I think in like my subconscious, that was definitely bothering me more than I kind of gave it credit for. And other than that, you know, just been really focusing on my spirituality, just, you know, building my relationship with God. That's been, you know, number one. But everything else, you know, just kind of like life and trying to find a balance.
Were you
Focusing on
sorry to jump in, Mike.
I just want to follow that one real quick. Focusing on the stuff that really matters, Rose. You know what I'm saying? Because fighting, of course, it's a wonderful thing, and we're all lucky to have done it and have the career and make some money. But it doesn't last forever. You know what I mean? And that's not what's really important. And when we watched your fight Saturday night, my wife Rebecca said this to me, and obviously we shared the same locker room, but I'd just been choked out unconscious. You'd had a tough fight. You know, I don't remember any of it. But Rebecca said, I've always been a huge fan of Rose, and she said, I'll never forget. Afterwards in the locker room, when the fights were all finished, you and Pat were talking, and you were inquiring about your flowers or the plants that you planted at home. You were saying, how are the plants and all the rest of it? She said, I was kind of earwigging and listening in, and she just thought that was the most beautiful thing ever. That after a fight, you just defended the title, won the title, knocked out your money on JJ, and you're bothered about your plants at home. So how were the plants?
I know.
Sorry, Anthony.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, no, it's funny because like that's actually obviously I love what I do. I love fighting. I probably love it more than I give it credit for half the time. I know I only have, you know, so I mean, we know this isn't forever, right? And so when it's over, it's over. So I'm trying to enjoy as much of it as I can. But ever since I was a little girl, I've always wanted to be a farmer. I don't know why, that's been my dream. And so I'm just using fighting to get to that point, to get to, just be in nature. And so at that time, that was my first time successfully growing like a tomato plant. And it was funny because I still have I wish I had it here, but there's a picture that I took right after I won the belt, and I came home to my very first tomato right then. I'm like, I'm just holding it up with the.
I made this.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great picture. So so it was like I got the belt and I got a tomato.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I love that. Not that I want to bring it back to like a negative place, and honestly, it might just be me being more curious just for myself. But when you were talking about you lost 2 in a row, you'd never lost 2 in a row before, and
yeah.
Me and Mike talk about this all the time, that I got to stay off of social media because I get my feelings hurt all the time. But like you see what people say, like, oh, maybe he doesn't have it, maybe Rose doesn't have that edge anymore, or whatever. Like, how do you keep, because you're so in tune with your feelings and like what's going on, and like very honest about yourself.
Yeah.
Like, were you having second thoughts, or was it like, all right, well, we just gotta make some tweaks and then we'll fix those problems, or were you kind of like, man, maybe I don't have it anymore, or like where were you at?
Yeah, the thought of whether I have it or not still was definitely circulating in my mind a bunch of times. Because even to this point, I know, like, when I go to practice, this actually was one of the better camps that I've had in a while, and my performances at practice were amazing. I had a couple of days where I wasn't like the best version of myself, but so I experienced a little bit of everything. And I knew that it was possible to wake up that day and you're performing to your best ability, and you did everything except I just woke up that day. But so I knew that was possible, but I still had that question of like, okay, I know I'm actually better than I've ever been. Like, even the performance that I gave, I still know that I'm capable of a better performance. But I still did pretty good, considering. But I guess what I was trying to say is I sent a question of like, I didn't doubt myself whether I was better than Amanda or if I, because my resume speaks for itself. Like, she's really good, but she still has to get that experience. I was just wondering, like, okay, do I want it as bad? Do I, and then do I still got it? Those are like kind of two similar but separate things.
Got it.
And yeah, I kind of forgot where I was going with that, but I
think you answered my question. You weren't like you knew you still had it, and you're definitely good enough. It's just maybe some of the outside stuff. Yeah, will you?
Yeah, and I think ultimately I just had to be like content, because I did everything that I could. I really put my best foot forward. But I just kind of submit to like, and I had to come to peace with like, okay, if I did everything I could and I showed up and it didn't work out for me, either it's like, it's not whether I wasn't like, if I wasn't successful, it wasn't like I was about to retire or anything, or maybe I was, depending on like if I got severely injured or something like that, then right. I probably would have like, okay, this is dangerous. But I probably would have just kind of just thought about having like a few more fights and just have fun with those fights and not so much worry about the belt. Whereas now that I've been successful and I see that I have something to build on, now I'm like, okay, going after this 125 belt is like a realistic thing for me. Like, I always knew that it's possible and I have the opportunity, so it's like, let me not pass it up. Yeah, like I'm still young enough to be able to do that, but it's like, can I?
Mm-hmm.
Now I know that it's possible,
Excuse me. You're only 31 years old, Rose.
Mm-hmm.
I was just looking at your Wikipedia page there, and it's obviously you still look like a young lady. I don't know why I was surprised, but you've just been around the UFC for so long. I'm going to choose my words carefully. So you made your UFC debut December 2014. So in calendar years, that's 10 years. So you were either 21 or 22 when you started fighting for the UFC.
Yeah.
But as we get older, we realize 21's a child. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, I'm 45 now. When I was 21, though, I thought I was the man. I thought I had everything figured out and I was all grown up. But what's that been like from 21 to 31? Growing up in the spotlight, high-profile fights, becoming the champion of the world. You know, I mean, I bet that's been a tough road in some ways.
It really has, yeah, because having that attention on you, and it's such a huge responsibility, and there's so many things, like just in MMA itself, like the sport is so unique because you have all these different martial arts that you got to learn, and you know what I mean. So there's different things you got to learn in a physical sense, but then just like the entertainment side of things, and like managing your money, and then like, and not just that, but like personal relationships, and like oh man, and then most of us, we all come from some sort of background, so it's like we're fighting against generational curses, and
there's a reason why we all step into cages.
yeah so it's all around, like it's been a crazy journey, but I've learned so much. I've been so thankful to have so many learning experiences and be able to like still just like pick myself back up, so yeah, I'm very grateful for that.
I feel like we've seen you have like multiple different parts of like your life. It's almost like because of the Ultimate Fighter and just like the visibility and how popular you were or are, and especially as a champion, I feel like we've seen you almost grow up a little bit. Do you feel like that?
Yeah, 100%. Like the most of my adult life has been like UFC, and that's pretty much it, aside from like some hobbies and some family, like friends, but aside from that, it's like I don't really have much of a life outside of that. So just like my childhood growing up, but yeah, it's been a huge blessing too. I mean, I'd never, like, looking back at my childhood, it's like everything that I was doing, like I didn't know what I was doing, but it just all prepared me for this. I had no idea I'd be a professional fighter. So I don't know, but luckily I've been able to really the one thing that's really helped me is just being able to learn from other people around me, and really take the good things and then learn from the bad things as well that other people do, and kind of just like they say, it takes a village. Like I've been really blessed to have traveled the world and been around so many different people and see so mmany different people, the way they train, the way they live their lives, the way they have managed their career, the way they transitioned out of their career, like, 'cause that's a whole nother thing. So yeah, I just try to learn as I go and take it all in.
So I know what the answer to this question is going to be, because making 125 is a whole lot easier than making 115 pounds. I know the answer already before I ask it, but as I said, I looked at your Wikipedia page quickly, and the things that jump out, of course, the 2 victories over Joanna Jędrzejczyk, incredible fights, great rivalry, and you've got to be the only woman to beat Zhang Weili twice as well. Does that not tempt you? Because you would think that Zhang, being a tremendous champion that she is, you would think that she would welcome a third fight with you. So how tempting is that to say, I'm going to go back down to 115 and take that fight and become a champion again?
So, I mean, like at the moment, not very tempting. I wouldn't say like never or absolutely no. I mean, obviously, if the price is right.
yeah, always.
So if there's an interesting offer, but I'm open to it. But I really want to, become 2-division champion. I really think that has to be my main focus. And then, if I can do that, then maybe, what I'm saying, like add a cherry on the top or something. But just thinking about, like, because I did a lot of work to try to, not just be like chubby, but like actually build some muscle, and like, so that was a lot for me to, because actually even like early in my career, it wasn't until like maybe, I don't know, like 2000, probably right before the Joanna fight, like the Michelle Watterson fight, like I was still kind of like a smaller strawweight, and then slowly I kind of like kept getting bigger and bigger, and so it's always been sort of harder for me to like put on size, like keep on size, because I just work out so much and my metabolism was higher. But but now that I'm a little bit older, it's like I think it's the perfect time for me to make this transition, and so I've been making it, and it's been a lot of work. So to like undo all of that and just go back down, just because I already beat Whaley twice. I mean, and to be honest, like to be totally honest, like the beating her the second time was a little bit harder than the first. So
A little bit.
It never gets easier than the first time. I mean, that was the best head kick ever.
Right, yeah, and so it's just like to be motivated for that. Like I gotta be motivated because she's a the best. Like she's
Win or
awesome.
lose, it's gonna suck probably.
Yeah, so in order to like get up for that one, I gotta be really motivated.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit about what you want next. I don't feel like very often. I can't recall too many other times I've like seen you mention names or like people specifically. You usually kind of like, yeah, we'll figure it out as we go. But the Macy one was kind of shocking to me because I thought you guys were fairly friendly, kind of both being around Colorado and.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with her. I just, she used to call me out when she was like younger, before she got in the UFC, and like I was the champ at the
She was
time.
like
She
12.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's just like we have a little bit of history, but I don't have anything personal against her. I just noticed that she's been wanting to fight me a long time ago. So and she just had a good performance, and
she's winning.
Yeah, she's winning, and but it's she would be cool, or I just kind of assumed that would be one of the options, or I mean I'd rather fight Erin Blanchfield or Manon Fiorot, like the winner of that, just because they're I think they're ranked a little higher, so but
which one would you rather have?
Which one out of those two?
Yeah, out of those two. Blanchfield and
whoever wins, whoever
Yeah.
wins. I mean, like Manon, obviously, like I want a rematch because like felt like I was really close to beating her, and it was just a really close fight, and I
broke your finger.
Yeah,
Nice
like,
and early in the fight.
it was like an accordion on my hand, so it was just gross. But but even all that aside, I still felt like I was just so close, so that would be cool, but if she doesn't win, then it's like, okay, I mean, I guess it'll be still cool, I guess, but either any one of the winners, I guess.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. This weekend, it is Manon Fiorot versus Erin Blanchfield, main event, Atlantic City. I'll be jumping on a plane. I'll be there. Who, in your humble opinion, Rose, walks away the victor of that fight?
Yeah, I've been saying that I've been leaning towards Erin Blanchfield. I mean, I do believe Manon has the ability and the power to maybe like catch her with some sort of strike coming in, but if she doesn't do that, I kind of see Erin Blanchfield sort of pushing the pace and just outworking her. So that's just my prediction.
Yeah, Blanchfield's got. I'm trying to remember, Mike. We were watching a fight. Oh, it was. Oh my God, who did she maul one time? And I remember thinking like nobody wants to fight her. So it's always so crazy. Like, I don't know, of course you're the person that's like, yeah, I'll fight her. Like it's not that. The mindset is so different because when I'm watching, I'm like, God damn, that chick is tough. You're like, yeah, I'll fight that girl. That's good.
Oh, that's what I want to. I want to feel it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And especially too, like for me, I mean, just her style is. I think a lot of people would be maybe, counting me out in that one, and that's just what gets me up. Somebody if you count me out, I'm like, all right, let's do it. Obviously, I have a lot of respect for her, and I definitely be taking it very seriously. But I think that'd be cool.
Growing up, I always wanted to fight Anderson Silva, simply because I idolized the guy. I had so much respect. He was just an absolute legend. So for you, for the longest time ever, it was Valentina Shevchenko. She was the flyweight queen, and now we got Alexa Grasso. Two very, very close fights.
Yes.
They're going to coach the Ultimate Fighter. For you, if and when, and we'll say when, we'll put that positive energy out there, when you get to fight for the belt, who would you rather it was against, Shevchenko or Grasso?
Man, I guess like just for my own, like just as a, like if I'm just being a fan here, I think, Shevchenko would be more of like the more, I guess, interesting or exciting, kind of iconic fight. But at the same time, I like Valentina. So, that would be a little bit hard too, just on a personal level. But, it is what it is. Like, we're professionals, and I know she's a martial artist. She's a she's a true martial artist, you know, the same way that I am. So I know, you know, she would have no issues with that either. But and I mean, we punch and kick each other, you know, like for a long time in the gym. So it's like, might as well get paid for it. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And Valentina is just like one of the coolest girls outside of fighting. She's got so much stuff going on. She's flying planes, she's acting in movies, and God knows what else she's doing. She's probably a secret agent for some
That's what I'm
country
saying.
somewhere.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
I want to be her.
What do you do? What is something shocking outside of the UFC? I know you've been doing a bunch of interviews today, so again, thank you for your time. You still see the scars and the scratches and whatnot on your face. When the dust settles and it's just you and Pat, what do you like to do in your spare time?
I mean, I guess right now.
What makes you smile?
Definitely.
Because it ain't talking to us.
Yeah. I mean, shoot. I obviously like gardening. You know, that's any type of homesteading. Like I'm just getting into to beekeeping now, so that's like a really cool new hobby of mine. I mean, I just starting it, so that's very interesting. And then you know, just hanging out with my dogs and my family and friends. And I've been practicing piano a little bit more. I don't know. I'll show y'all my baby grand piano.
Look at that.
Like, can you see it? I don't know.
Yeah, no, we saw it a second ago. Yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
I don't have like the skills to get the camera going here.
Are you getting some lessons?
What's that?
Some piano lessons?
Yeah, I've been playing piano since I was like 5 years old. So.
Oh
wow.
And she hung up on it. She's like, that's it. That's all you're getting. I don't blame her.
So the baby grand and I'm out.
She's got the baby grand piano.
We have a piano at our house. And one of my daughters took lessons. And they're like, oh my God, it's so loud. All the ding, 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 ding.
Lucas wanted a drum set. Lucas wanted a drum set. And I was like, no chance. But we got him.
Hey, sorry.
And then there we go. No, you're good. I knew you'd come back. You were messing with the camera and you hung up on us. I forgot where we were then.
That's what I don't do on my free time. I don't do anything with my phone.
Good. How does one start keeping bees? Because I'll tell you what, with my
that
wife,
was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
My wife wants to start keeping bees, and I'm all for it. Okay, hobbies are great, but I'm terrified of bees and wasps. I'm a baby.
No, and that's understandable. And, well, first of all, you gotta make sure you're not allergic. That's very serious. And then two, you know, there's I just looked up there's like a mentorship program. So you just like people that are experts, they kind of like set one up in your yard, and then they kind of walk you through the whole thing. There's ways there's so much internet information available. It's just like hard to like kind of decipher what's like, you know, like, because there's ways to do it, right? So but I'm actually gonna do it like the legit way and get like a mentor and like just, you know, or like an internship program kind of a thing, and they're gonna set it up. And I had I had a box this last season, but it produced some honey, but over the winter it died. So yeah, I have a lot to learn, but yeah, it's cool. It's funny because like, you know, if you're calm and if you're not like pissing them off, like they're cool with you, and they're actually just, you know, pretty friendly. It's just
if you literally going they won't be freaking out.
Yeah, but you know, they're like sentient beings. It's crazy. Like I've had, you know, it's you know, really long story, but I've definitely had like certain experiences that like I feel like they're way more intelligent than we would even realize, and so they're really in tune with stuff. So that's why I feel like it's just I've been called to do it, you know. So really looking forward to just kind of learning more about it, and yeah, they're chilling, you know, like they're as long as you're chilling, they're chilling.
What do you like? I think that you and Pat are like, you're so fascinating because your personalities are so different.
Yeah.
Where do you guys come up with like who comes up with the beekeeping idea? Is that you or is that like Pat?
Yeah, it's definitely me, you know, but it's funny. It's funny because like if it wasn't for me, like he would have never did any of this stuff, you know. But
right.
But it's funny because like the more and more that we do more like the homesteading stuff and kind of just like learning different things and hobbies, it's like he ends up picking it up more than myself, and he gets more into it than me sometimes. And I'm just like, I'm tired from practice or just don't feel like, water.
He's out there beekeeping.
He's just over there like, come on, we gotta get the garden ready. And I'm like, this is awesome, because then he picks up the slack where I'm lazy sometimes.
And this is what I like to talk to people to people about, because it's just the normal stuff away from fight. You don't want to talk about training and so tell me, to break down this fight. You know what I'm saying? You want to talk about this normal stuff, this everyday stuff, life. Anthony, what are we going to ask there, buddy?
Oh, it wasn't actually a question. Like, Pat was one of the, long time ago. I remember, it's like I say you guys are totally, different personalities, but, really, you get really deep into the conversation with Pat. It's not really that far off, to be honest. Yeah. It was, the first big name fighter to, acknowledge me. I was kind of the undercard guy, the loser, And, I remember him just, hey, what do you do? And I was like, I'm trying not to get beat up on his bus with all these monsters here, actually. And we just had a super cool conversation. It's always been super nice, even when I was absolutely nobody.
Very, very candid, and I think over time it's you hang out with somebody so much you turn into each other, kind of a thing, But where we're different, we definitely end up balancing each other out. I think what makes it work is he just, he really just wants to focus on, making sure I'm having a good day. So it's cool, it's a huge blessing,
Yeah, it really is. Well, listen, it's been a huge blessing having you on the show as well, Rose. We've been we're big fans of your work for a long time. Congratulations on the weekend. I will drop the fact that you think Aaron wins at the weekend as well, if you don't mind, on commentary. Good luck with everything going forward. And again, thanks for your time.
Awesome, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Rose.
All the best. Rose Namajunas, I mean, how can you not root for that girl?
It's impossible not to. She's just, I don't know, you just find yourself, anytime I've run into her, you just find yourself enjoying the time that you're just there talking, because she's so real. There's no fake, we were talking earlier about the fake bullshit and all. That's 100% Rose, 100% of the time.
And she's kind of an introvert from what I understand. So that's why I said I'm very grateful for her time today, because I wasn't sure whether or not to hit her up, because I don't like to bother fighters straight after a fight, But she got the win. She got back in the winning column after losing the last two. She was very open about those thoughts. And I thought I'd reach out because we've had some nice communication in the past, and she was brilliant. And to pull the curtain back, we just stopped for a quick pee break. I ran to the bathroom. I said, babe, Rose is doing bees. She's raising bees. Like, oh my God, I want to do that. She's like, yeah, but she lives on a farm. She lives somewhere where land is way cheaper than California. Okay, right. So we're gonna move. We're gonna raise bees. We're gonna grow tomatoes, spinach.
Yeah. I like the farming thing. I'm not big into the plants though.
That's all we're.
I like growing animals.
We're gonna have chickens.
Animal thing. Ducks. You gotta get some ducks or some geeses.
Geese are annoying.
No, not like those kind of. There's different kinds of geese.
What kind of geese are you talking about?
There's I'm not talking about the ones in the park that hiss at you, dickheads. Yeah, there's nice geese out there.
We'll get some good geese then. We'll get some good geese. Right. So what are we talking about? Oh, we were talking about Sean Strickland versus maybe Hamzat Chimaev and Robert Whittaker calling out Sean Strickland as well. I think that's a great call out for Robert. It's a good path. It could potentially be a really big win for him. But then also there seems to be a rumor going around on social media of Hamzat versus Sean in Saudi Arabia. Granted, at the same time I saw that post, I also saw a post about Paddy Pimblett fighting Paul Felder. Did you see that one?
Oh, that would be awesome.
So I text Paul Felder straight away. Paul said, that's bullshit. He said, I don't know why that's doing the rounds, but that is absolute horse shit. So
when you guys at home know it's true, because if Mike had texted him and Paul said yes, he wouldn't have said anything to you.
We wouldn't be talking about it right now.
Talking about it.
Yeah. But it just goes to show you can't believe everything that you read on social media. But Hamzat versus Sean in Saudi Arabia, that could be another one of them. But what's your thoughts on that?
I'd rather see Hamzat versus Whittaker.
Hamzat versus Whittaker.
I'd rather see that fight.
What about Sean versus Whittaker?
I would love that. That's a more interesting fight for me. than Strickland versus. Because listen, this is not me negatively talking about Strickland, but we know his game plan and we kind of know where he's at. Hamza is such a dominant physical problem for a guy that has the style, and matchups make fights, right? Styles make fights. I think that Whitaker Strickland is a great fight. I think that Whitaker Hamza is a great fight. I think Strickland Hamza is tough. I think it could potentially look a lot like the Kevin Holland Hamza fight. Strickland fights very upright. He's a little bit limited in his mobility. He's got pretty good takedown defense, but not a huge kicking game. He's not crazy, super one-punch, powerful type of striker. He's more of a volume guy. And he's great at all of those things. It just, I think, stylistically, I think Hamza would get a hold of him and really slow that down, and it may not be the most exciting fight in the world. That said, I think if you go Strickland, Whitaker, Hamza, I think that those are amazing, exciting fights.
I think regardless of who they actually end up fighting, outside of Dricus and Izzy, the next three biggest names are Sean, Hamza, and Whitaker. You know what I mean?
Someone's getting left out.
One of those matchups is going to get made. I'd be very, very surprised if they don't. So I guess we'll see how it all plays out. UFC 301, Anthony, you're going to be on that card. I was on the fight card.
Jose Aldo.
Jose Aldo is back.
I've never fought on a card with Jose Aldo before.
Oh, that's cool.
And I think that's...
Who else is on there? Steve Erceg versus
Pantoja and Erceg. I know that people are upset about this, or even I'm here in Denver at Factory X. Mark Montoya and Brandon Roybell are absolutely livid that they didn't get it. He went all the way to Mexico. So his whole plan, I'm going to go to Mexico and beat Moreno, and then I'll get the next title shot because I'll beat the number one contender. I get it, the timing, and it's hard to go back to back like that. It wasn't.
He's lost twice though to Pantoja, right? Yeah. It's worth mentioning. To be fair,
it is, and they're aware. You know what I mean? Like they
I asked Roy Val to come on the show, and he never even responded. You don't get title fights if you don't come on BYM.
Yeah, you have to go on BYM. You know what? I hope I see him tomorrow. I'm going to give him shit about it, but
give him from me.
But even Mark was like, I get it, but Erceg. I said this when Erceg just fought.
When he knocked out Matt Schnell. I was working that card, and afterwards I was sitting next to Dean and said, Erceg might beat them all. He's pretty goddamn good. He's pretty good. I was really impressed. He doesn't have that many fights, so I get why a lot of the 125ers are pissed because he only has like 3 fights in the UFC. But I mean, he came in on like 7 days' notice and knocked off the number 8 dude, and then fought again, and then just knocked out another top 10 guy. Like, he's pretty goddamn good. If he can keep Pantoja off his back, he might beat him. He might go all the way to Brazil and beat him. Well, Roy Val's not the only one who was annoyed. Mohammed Makaev was campaigning for that fight as well. Yeah. I guess when you go out and you flatline somebody, because Matt Schnell, granted, not a superstar, but if you follow this sport, Matt Schnell's been around a long time. He's highly skilled. He can compete with the best, and he got flatline. You know what I mean? Erceg, yeah, not the biggest name, but you said that, Dean said that. He's knocking him out, Matt Schnell's. He's nasty.
He's nasty. And he's pretty good all around.
Anybody, good luck against Pantoja, though, because that man is a monster.
A monster. He's fun, too, like, just to talk to when we had him on. Like, he's a good conversation. He's a really fun guy to talk to. The Makaev thing, I get why they would probably pass on. I like Makaev. I think he's amazing. But I mean, you kind of want some excitement too.
You gotta get finishes. He's not getting
finishes. He's not getting finishes. Pantoja likes to grapple. Makaev likes to grapple. It's tough.
They got Paul Craig versus Caio Borralho.
I love that fight.
Card as well, mate. That's a good one. Jack Shaw, Joe Anderson, Brito, Anthony Smith, Vito Petrino.
Stand up. That's a pretty good card. That's a pretty good card. That's a pretty good card. So it's a sneaky good card.
So let's talk about this. Do you know anything about this? And I don't know if this is true or not. Once again, the internet has spoken. But apparently, there's a clause in the contract of Alex Pereira that if he makes short work of Jamal Hill, then he gets to turn it around quickly and fight Magomed Ankalaev at UFC 301. Harrington, did we speak about this on Thursday?
Yes, we did.
We did. Okay, we'll keep it short.
It's a bad idea.
I agree.
It's a bad idea.
Thank you for saying that.
Well, for a couple reasons. We just talked about this looking ahead thing, taking your eye off the ball that's in front of you.
Yeah.
I think that's a bad idea. Nobody makes short work of Jamal Hill. Say what you want about Jamal. Say what you want about his skill set. Nobody's made short work of him. He's in it for the long. Even if you beat him, it's gonna hurt, and you're gonna be banged up. And then you want to turn around that quick and fight Ankalaev?
A completely different stylistic matchup.
Awful stylistic
bad.
matchup.
Bad matchup. Yeah.
Yeah, like totally opposite from what you just did, but also probably the worst matchup possible in the not just at 205. Ankalaev would be a worse matchup than any 85 matchup he could find, and he would be a worse matchup than most of the guys at heavyweight since he's been talking to going to heavyweight.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, I'm just looking at the rankings.
He might be the worst matchup in 3 divisions.
If Pereira does beat Jamal, that's a big if, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because Jamal, I think people are kind of sold on the hype of Alex Pereira because what he's done is incredible. Beating 4 champions in 7 fights, unbelievable. 2 weight division champion, sensational in a short amount of time. But you can't overlook Jamal Hill, right? Look at how he knocked out Johnny Walker, right?
Yeah.
That's real punching power. You got Yuri, okay, he's beating Yuri. Yan, he's beating Yan. Then you got Magomed Ankalaev. That just stands out as kind of like an anomaly in the light heavyweight division now. Because, hey, all right, fair enough, he's Dagestani, he's got the wrestling, but he's also got the striking to go with it. Magomed Ankalaev is a bad matchup for anybody, let alone somebody that is a quote-unquote kickboxer.
He's a nightmare on his feet. He's a mobility wise, like he moves in and out of like range and really small movements. He's just out of the way. He's got a really, and shitty enough for Pereira, he's a southpaw. And Ankalaev, so not only is he a different style, he's a completely different stance. And Ankalaev has a really active lead hand. He really makes it a big pain in the ass. Like it's hard to get past it because you're in opposite stances. So he's constantly touching it, which is Pereira's main punch. Like he sets everything up kind of off of that leg kick and the left hook. It's opposite stances, so the leg kick is essentially a lot less effective. And the left hook is going to be nullified a little bit because he's going to be touching it the whole time and constantly with it. And he's a fire wrestler. Like, I'm a pretty good grappler, and I could tell right away when he was on top, like, ooh, yeah, this is a problem. Like, he's going to be hard to submit. He's going to be hard to... I had a broken ankle, so I couldn't get up. I felt like I could have gotten up had I had 2 legs, but like he wasn't going to be able to sweep him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Anthony. So what? You had a broken ankle.
We've been on here for an hour and a half or ish. The only thing that's going to come out is going to be me talking about having a broken ankle and not being able to stand up.
You're right.
It's not going to be one Thug Rose quote. It's not one conversation about anything positive we've said. It's going to be one excuse that I made.
Well, you're making a lot of them, bro. Yeah, listen, Conor McGregor had a broken leg, okay?
Yeah.
He's got a titanium shin bone.
What was the break, Anthony? What was the break?
So...
That's crazy. That's the point.
You're headed off back down to Brazil, Anthony. You love fighting down there.
You know, you want to know the truth?
Go on.
I don't want to retire someday. Whenever I do retire a couple years from now, and say I never got a win in Brazil.
Why?
I've never won in Brazil.
How many times you fought there?
Just twice.
Oh, that's not too bad. How many times did I fight in Brazil? Was it once or twice? I definitely got head kicked into oblivion of Vitor.
Yeah.
Probably just once, maybe. I never got a bloody win in Brazil. Why are you trying to outdo me? Not everybody can get a win in Brazil.
But I want one. I want to go to Brazil and I want to leave there with a win.
So regardless, when it's all said and done, you say, well, listen, Bisping, you might have won the belt.
Maybe you won the
belt. You never
belt.
got a win in Brazil, did you?
You never won in Brazil. I gotta get something. If you get the title, I gotta get something.
You think you're all that, but you couldn't.
You got the title and the jacket, the plaque in the background.
Oh,
I can get the goddamn country, can I?
Yeah, exactly. Today's episode is sponsored by Fitbod, which is the smart workout app that really is all you need if you want to get a good workout. Go to the gym, you plateau, you get bored, you do the same stuff, you're sick of doing it all. Well, guess what? You need a new workout. You need a workout that is tailored to your needs, it's designed for you, okay? And you want to work like a demonstration for free. I meant nightmare to another. A moment ago, you spoke about nightmare matchups, which had we not have continued for a little while, would have been a perfect segue into from one nightmare to another. And I'm speaking about Diego Nightmare Sanchez.
Good segue.
You know, Joshua Fabia, this absolute prick, this absolute scumbag. Fighters, this is going to shock a lot of people. Fighters are very, very easy to manipulate. Not all of us, we're not all to the same level. You know, maybe they didn't have a father figure around or whatever, but when somebody comes along and they really pretend that they care about you and they've got your best interests at heart and they're a good salesman, they're a good con man, they can really get their hooks in. And that is exactly what Joshua Fabia did to Diego Sanchez. Now, Jesse on Fire, who's hosted this show a couple of times as a YouTube channel, he's been covering this a lot. I don't have the actual details to hand, but I did see a bit of a video that he posted where Fabia was essentially blackmailing him. Diego wrote him a check for $100,000, but Harrington, maybe you can just paint out the A to Z of it all for people to understand exactly what's going on?
Yes, so Diego did open up a bit about it. He talked about having Fabia in his life. He said that, once Fabia got a look at his finances and saw that, there might not be as much money in there as Fabia thought, he started to become very hostile. He was issuing threats. The quote here, everybody wants to tell me, why didn't you just snap his neck? Why didn't you just crush the guy? If I was you, I would have just snapped him. Yeah, I would have loved to do that, but I'm dealing with a very unstable, mentally unstable, sociopathic psychopath. That is basically the best way I could put it. You're dealing with a Charlie Manson type of mind where he's gone so far that it makes him unstable and dangerous. He went on to talk about how he claimed he was an ex-trained killer, ex-hitman, ex-contract worker for the cartels. And Sanchez says that he feared for the life of not only him, but his child and the mother of his child.
Do you remember that video that came out when he went into that fighter meeting and started like,
Where Paul Felder kind of confronted him?
Yeah. I would love to have like been in that room and just beat the shit out of that guy. Because like, if anybody is going to be able to be, and I mean this, if Diego sees this, I mean this with the most respect. There's some people that like that guy could be manipulated because he just is so trusting. And that's Diego Sanchez. Like he took the one person that was clearly had the ability to manipulate. You know what I mean? And it just, I remember when I interviewed him just by myself, and I just happened to catch him like the one time in like a year or a year and a half that he wasn't with Fabia. I just happened to catch him when I asked him if he would do an interview with me. And he made me promise that I put it out, and and he kind of went off the rails a little bit. You could tell that's when he was at his most vulnerable, when he was at his most damaged at that point with Fabia, and that was kind of right before the beginning of the end. But like I remember just feeling so sad. I've actually never told, I don't know if I've ever told this story. When I interviewed him, it was about 40 minutes or 45 minutes of him just kind of losing his shit. And he made some really, it's still out there on YouTube, but he made some crazy claims that the UFC was trying to kill him, and he had all this dirt on Dana. I called Dana first and said, I just interviewed Diego, and he went off the rails. He's lost it, and this Fabio guy has got his brain so twisted. And Dana, to his credit, it was one of the coolest conversations I've ever had. He said, you made a promise, like put it out there. And when this Fabio guy leaves Diego penniless and broken, I'll be there to pick him back up. So like, Diego's always good with me. He can say whatever he wants. When this Fabio guy's done with him, I'll be there to pick Diego back up. And that's exactly what he's doing right now. That was 2 years ago.
And I don't even need to piggyback on that because I've said so many times, and people just call me an arse licker and a company man, but that's the side of Dana White that people don't see it.
But they don't see it.
And even though, and we don't need to do it, but even though we constantly tell these kind of behind the scenes stories, people aren't interested in that. They only want to hear negativity. They don't want to hear. That's us trying to keep our jobs. That's us trying to make money and all the rest of it. Or how about for 1 second telling the truth and telling the shit that you really see, not the shit that they see on social media or these horror stories and all the rest of it. So shut the up, okay?
Well, when they write a story about this episode, they're not going to put that story in there. That's just a simple fact. They're not going to put that in there because
blames Magomed Ankalaev lost on broken ankle.
Right. It's not going to be that Diego Sanchez was losing his mind because he was being manipulated by this piece of shit Fabia, and then said the most inflammatory things about his boss, and his boss's reaction was, I love Diego. When this guy's done breaking him, I'll come back in and I'll help fix it. And that's exactly what he's doing right now. Literally right now, Dana is standing behind Diego, trying to help him. Right now, he's trying to help him. Like, get him back on his feet. And no one
is he really? In what sense?
I think he's got some lawyer shit going on that he's helping Diego out with, and just trying to keep food on his table. And no one else. I'm the only one saying it. Like, Diego will say it, but like, I'm the only one that's saying that. You know, that's not in the stories and the clicks and all the other. again, like I'm going off on a tangent now, so I'll get back to the point. But
No, it's fine.
that's like you said, that's the shit that nobody sees, and they always do. They're like, oh, these guys are company shills, and like I don't have to try to keep my job as long as I keep doing the actual job itself correctly. Like, Dana's not going to keep me if I'm up. As long as I do my job correctly, I don't have to say nice things about Dana in the UFC. I just have to do my job correctly, and I'm going to keep my job. Like, I don't know why that's so hard to understand.
Anytime we say things like this, it always turns into that, and you're absolutely right. I feel like I'm pretty goddamn good at my job, and that's why they have me there. And as long as I continue to do a good job, I will have. I don't need, and I guarantee you, it doesn't get seen. Do you know what I mean? Me saying these positive things, those positive things are my experience. Like I'll see Dana treating people at the Apex, or speaking to somebody, or speak to some people that, for want of a better expression, are maybe insignificant to his life. But I see how he treats them. Do you know what I mean? And that is impressive to me, because it's all well and good. It's like there's an old cliche, an old saying like, don't judge someone on how they treat you. Judge them on how they treat a waiter in a restaurant. Do you know what I'm saying? Because 100%. Because Diego Sanchez, let's get it back on track. Diego, I think it's fair to say he had a bit of a breakdown, right? And I think the final straw kind of came in this all when Joshua Fabio was requesting, and I don't know the full details, the medical records of Diego, because they were trying to somehow build a case where they could sue the UFC.
Right.
On letting him fight whilst he had CTE or something like that. And they're like, well, hold on a minute. If you're even thinking about that, then he cannot fight. So essentially, this Fabio dickhead, this piece of garbage that was just trying to use him and take it for every last penny that he could and manipulate him, was just, and use him as a door to sue the UFC just for his own financial gain. Because the end of a legendary career, a Hall of Fame worthy career, he's already in the Hall of Fame. One of the original fighters, the man that won season 1 of The Ultimate Fighter. And then has no problem. I've seen this video online where he's just berating Diego, speaking down to him like he's a naughty child, where a teacher doesn't like the student and he's talking to them like shit, or like a sergeant major or a drill sergeant would speak to a maggot that just joined the army. That's how he's talking to him, and the whole time. And Diego writes him a check for $100,000. You know what I mean? What kind of number?
The video is terrible.
What kind of number have you done on this guy for him to do that? Because make no mistake, Diego could beat the living shit out of this guy, and he ain't no special forces dickhead. He ain't no contract killer for the cartel. He's a prick that runs the School of Self-Awareness and hangs Diego upside down and kicks him in the head whilst filming it. He came into that fighter meeting in Abu Dhabi and he wanted everything to be about him, and the questions weren't about him, so he starts kicking off and Felder loses his mind every single time. Remember the video of Matt Serra? Matt Serra started on him as well.
Yeah.
Matt Serra didn't take no shit. He put him right in his place. That guy.
Well, it's because most of us can sniff out a con man pretty quick. But like I said, the one person in our community that you might be able to get over on is Diego. And I don't mean that in a negative sense. It's just, let's just not pretend like Diego's not unique. He's different than the rest of us. And that's okay. That's why he's mugged. Find any fighter in the UFC that past opponent of Diego or not that doesn't love him. Everybody. Nobody has no problems with Diego. That's just who he is. We all accept him. He's unique, and we love him for it. And that's the problem that Fabio's going to run into. Like, now the whole world knows what you did to him.
Yeah, well, sadly,
shit beat out of you.
I don't know. Sadly, we live in a world where people can just disappear because he's not really embedded into the UFC mixed martial arts community and culture. He's just not. He was just an outsider that managed to just worm his way in, and every now and again we see that. And I've had people do it to me. Diego had it done to him. There's some nasty, disgusting, deplorable people out there. You know what I mean? And it's always the ones that come into your life and seem like they're doing the best things for you. The ones that are always selling themselves. Why are you selling yourself so much? If anyone's selling themselves to you, saying they can do all these things, then you've got to ask the question, well, what are they getting out of it? Because most of the time, it's not because they're just a good person. What do they really want? You know what I mean?
Right.
There's always an angle.
And typically it's your money.
Typically, it's your money.
It's your money.
It is, because it's a sad state of affairs. Money is the root of all evil. It bloody is.
Amen.
It really is. Anyway, so unless Hamilton has got an absolute genius of a breaking story for us, which I find very hard to believe, the genius part, I find it hard to believe that he'll even respond.
I'm furiously Googling any breaking news, and I'm not seeing any.
Yeah, we'll get off the screen. I was asking, unless I didn't ask you to appear. Just kidding, Harrington, of course. That does lead, you might as well come back on. If you have a question, send it to bynpod@gmail.com. Lately, we've been getting a lot of questions that are non-MMA. Please, we prefer those questions. We want to talk about life. I'm 45, Anthony's pushing 45. We've got ups, we've got downs. We've got homeless people with headphones. We've got the voice of God in the background. Between the four of us, we can give you some good advice. We can tell you about some things. So don't just ask if there was any dream matchup you could have had. Who was it? That's a shit question. If you could match anyone in the pound for pound list against each other. If you've got a good question, send it in. Oh, God, is that one of them, Brian?
I mean, I can't tell you how many times we've gotten the question, can you make me a list of your favorite whatever, or the best, or like who would win if these guys fought? Stop it. Everybody just stop it.
You should definitely send in more. Name the 3 people you like to have dinner with, living or dead. We love that.
Yeah. By the way, Anthony, Pat Barry just texted me. I just looked at my phone quickly. He says,
I was just reading it.
I know our heads are loopy after years of this shit, but I swear I remember that story that Anthony told Rhodes.
Which one?
About when you first met Pat Barry.
Yes. Yeah. He just texted me too.
Harrington, do you remember what you're supposed to say now?
I do. I remember that if you are subscribing to Spotify, wherever you find podcasts, make sure if you're listening on Spotify, wherever you find podcasts, make sure you subscribe, leave us a 5-star rating, positive review. It really helps out on those platforms. Watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and you hit that notification bell to find out whenever a new video drops in. If you want to catch over 500 episodes you can't find anywhere else, completely ad-free and totally uncensored, head to gasdigital.com, use promo code BYM14, you get a 2-week free trial and check out returning great shows on the network.
It's 2 demerits for that flub, Harrington.
I was going to say it wasn't the best delivery, but we'll allow it. I wasn't going to say anything, but Brian jumped in the rescue.
So, today our first question is from my favorite questioner to look at, Deja.
Hey guys, alright, quick fire question. Zhang Weili, Rose Namajunas, and Joanna. I don't know how to say her last name. Mary Kill. So I had a question about date ideas. You know, something that's outdoors. I saw something for like wine tasting and ATV driving, and I want to take myself out on a solo date because I ain't got nobody. So I was wondering if you guys have ever just gone out on a solo adventure. What have you done, or have you yet to do one but you really want to? So let me know.
Well, I'll say this, Deja. If you leave your Instagram name on there, you're going to be inundated with a lot of offers from the belief.
I volunteer as tribute.
Yeah. I think we can find someone to take you out, Deja. I'm just throwing it out there.
It's me. I'm the guy that we find.
Brian's like, no, we have the guy. We have the guy. It's me.
Yeah, Brian's editing this out so nobody gets to advance. Solo dates. What do you like to do if you want to get out there, you want to disconnect from everything and just be by yourself? What do you like to do? And I'm trying to think of something.
Well, when I'm here in Colorado, I spend a lot of time by myself. So sometimes I'll get bored and just drive up to the mountains and just walk around. You know, like I'm not a big hiker or trail person, but I'm just going out and checking out some super cool stuff out in nature. It's fun. There's this new thing we've been doing, me and Michaela, and it would probably be fun to do by yourself. It's actually been a cool mingling thing. It's called Farm to Table. There's like some of these a lot of pumpkin patches, like they're attached to a family and have all this land. Well, if they're not growing pumpkins for like the fall season, they got to find ways to like make money. So they do this farm to table thing where everything that's at the meal, they sell these tickets. They'll sell like 30 tickets or something. And everything that is at the meal is something that's farmed, grown, harvested like from that farm. And then they sell these tickets. They're kind of expensive, but and not like, I'm not saying they're like thousands of dollars a piece, but I mean like one ticket might be $200, but and everything is from that family farm, and you learn about it. You go on a little ride around the farm, check it out, eat some amazing food. But I have seen like single people there too, like they just checked it out on their own. But it's something me and Michaela do as often as we can.
That sounds lovely. Actually, I'm going to check that out because that's right up the street. And thank you, Deja, for the question. I was trying to think about myself. I'm so busy. I don't really get much time to myself, but I do enjoy it. I do enjoy being alone. You know what I mean? Like Rebecca or Ellie, the daughter, will often say, "Oh, look at that person in the restaurant by themselves. I feel sorry for them." I'm like, "Don't." They're having a great time. You know what I mean? Unless they're not, unless they're sad and lonely and depressed, and you know they just cry themselves to sleep, wanting a wife every night. But we don't think you're having that problem, Deja. For me, one thing that I do solo a lot, and I just started doing it again, running. I was doing the Peloton for a long time. I've got back into the running. The weather's nice again. I love to just get outside and go for a run. But I'm going down to Colombia soon. I'm going down to BioAccelerator to get some stem cells. And I'm going to be there for about 8 days. And I'm looking forward to just disconnecting from everything. Obviously, I've got some medical stuff to do. But I'm going to take some personal time to just float around Colombia and just be by myself. And just
I was supposed to go there with Weidman, and it was kind of it just didn't work. I mean, it's hard to, I mean, you get it. It's hard to disappear and just take some personal time for 8 days. I mean, it sounds like it should be easy, but it's really not. But I was kind of looking forward to the same thing, like just being there and really having nothing to do other than, you know, the medical procedures. But other than that, you have nothing to do. You can kind of just check out a new place and like, not like you have a call time or you got more research or whatever.
I love exploring new places, you know, and again, this sounds like a prick when I say it, but this is why I'm bringing it up, because I'm a family man. I've got 3 children and a wife, so I don't go on vacations by myself. But I'm lucky enough to have done some acting projects that have taken me all over the world. You know what I mean? And when I was in South Africa or when I was in Thailand, I've been to Thailand a bunch of times doing different projects. I love that, because then I just go wander around like a tourist by myself. You know, when I was in South Africa, went up Table Mountain and just exploring places by myself, and it's I enjoy it. It's very peaceful, and I think there's a strength to it. And I think you need to have your own company. Sometimes you need to be alone with your own thoughts. You know, there's always so many outside distractions and people going on and people calling you for work and Instagram, social media, and emails and bullshit and children. You know, it's like sometimes it's nice to just disconnect and be yourself and just be at one with nature.
Totally agree. Well, I hope she does that.
Deja.
And then tell us about it afterwards.
And if you want
Brian's number, you let us know.
We've emailed. She has my number. Everybody has my number who I email. Whatever, you can call me whenever.
555.
Yeah, right. So our next question is from Marco, who's a culprit often of just sending in an email to like talk to us, but here is actually a good question.
What's up, BYM crew? Beautiful day in Miami, Florida. Miami Ultra is over. All delinquents are now gonna leave. We're gonna have a normal city in our traffic again. So I wanted to ask you something today, guys. Biskin, you are retired already, but let's say, Anthony, when you retire, since you want to stay with the company and you know Dana is looking out for the fighters and all that, so if not doing commentating, right, and interviews with the fighters, what is the next second best job in the UFC PI or for the UFC? Which would you be interested in? So if not commentating, what you do now, so when you finish fighting, if not commentating, what is the second, the most interesting or the best paid job you would be interested in working with the UFC? There you go. You never talk about that. I would like to hear what else You know, retired athletes can work with the UFC and whatever. You know what the fuck I want to mean. Brian,
Yeah, we do. Kill this guy now.
Peace.
Well, there's a number of career opportunities. Anthony's been doing it. You could become a catcher at slap.
Hell yeah. 8 to 12, bro. Let's go.
Are you gonna be there?
I'm gonna go, yeah. I work on the 13th, yeah.
Me and you both, brother. I've got a busy week. I'm triple dipping that week, and I'm doing TNT Sports, I'm doing ESPN, and I'm commentating slap. It's gonna be a busy week. I will have a voice. Chris Lieben, you see him often ringside now, judging fights.
Yeah.
Mark Goddard used to be a fighter. He's a good friend of mine. From the UK scene, refereeing, judging, catching. What else?
I want Forrest Griffin's job.
What does he do?
He's doing like athlete development. And like overseeing the PI and kind of the programs that go on there. Just seems like it'd be fun. He hangs out in the PI all day. Gets to train during the day.
Yeah,
Bosses people. I'm sure he's got a tough job. I'm sure what he does, because he travels a lot too. Like he's helping open like the PI that's in Shanghai and then the one that's in Mexico. So like he does a lot, but I feel like that'd be super fulfilling to like help grow the sport on the backside.
Yeah, anytime I go to the PI, Forrest is always the guy I text. He's a cool to swing by or whatever, because he's like one of the higher ups over there, if you will. Forrest is a great guy, by the way. Shouts out to him. For me, what I really want to do, and I'm looking forward to this because I'm just so busy with everything right now. I'm looking forward to when it all settles down a little bit, training fighters and, like trying to mentor the next generation of getting a small little gym, nothing fancy. When I move to wherever it is, North Carolina or wherever the blood is, Costa Rica, there was another one. Right. The other day I was looking up property to buy in Tuscany, North Italy, near the Austrian and Swiss border. Right, I found a house, wasn't that much money. Right, oh my God, you want to see it? 60 acres of land. Right, a beautiful land. It currently has vineyards creating 40,000 bottles of wine per year, but has the potential to do 90,000 bottles of wine per year.
How much was this place?
Olive groves where you can create over 1,000 kilos of olive oil per year.
I don't even know what an olive grove is.
It's where olive trees grow, and they turn the olives into olive oil.
How much is this place?
It was about 800,000.
Really?
Yeah, and it was. It had outbuildings, it had stables, it had a swimming pool, it had about 27 bedrooms, and this was in Tuscany, Italy, and it was beautiful. Now, granted, the only issue is we've got to go and live in Italy. And I said to Babe, I said to
your wife doesn't leave the house anyways.
Yeah, I was on the toilet, dropping the kids off at the pool, right? And I don't know why I started looking up houses in Tuscany. I must have seen something on Instagram or something. So I started Googling it. I was like, oh God. I said, Babe, never mind North Carolina. We're going here. She goes, Michael, but our kids will live in America. I'm like, fuck the kids. Forget the kids. Yeah. I want to live near the Swiss and Austrian border and grow Mikey B's Cabernet Sauvignon. Do you know what I mean? That sounds amazing. Who doesn't want to do that?
Oh my gosh, this is amazing.
The mountain air.
Just bring your kids with you. There's 27 bedrooms. They could be as far away from you as possible.
Deja can come. Anthony can come. Harrington can come.
We can all live there. We're all going to live there.
The amount of subscribers we have, all the subscribers can come and live with us as well. Subscribe and hit that ring bell.
So this just made me think while you were talking about that. I saw over the weekend there is a town in Switzerland, right, in the Swiss Alps itself, on the Italian border, that is going to pay people up to $40,000 to move with them and up to 2 children. They'll give you $20,000 for the couple to move, $10,000 for each kid you bring. You get $40,000 instead of spending $800.
That sounds like a great deal, and I've got 3 kids, so basically I've got to leave 1 behind. Tough call, but I'll do it. Should we leave the show there? Because I'm sure you've got a training session to get to. I'm sure I would love to do more questions, but you've got a training session, Anthony. We've got to be.
Are you going to blame it on me?
No, I'm being respectful.
All right. Yeah, I do gotta get. I got
No,
PT.
exactly. Not exactly. I could shoot the shit for another half an hour, but I know you
know.
probably got to
Okay,
get
too.
out
That's
of
the
it.
problem.
Yeah. Big thanks to Rose.
This was good. This was fun. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
It's always good. It's always good when you're on. We always have a good conversation. Thursday's going to be hard.
Yeah.
It'll be me and Harrington and some guests that I'm trying to rope in.
You want me to talk to Brandon Roy Bell for you? See if we can get him on.
Oh, please do. Yeah, I'd love to speak to Brandon. All jokes aside. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for supporting the show. Thank you, Anthony, for being here. And enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you soon.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan podcast by night, all day.
So how much of a relief is an album? You've been working on this for a while, huh?
Yeah, it would be a relief if I got a chance to chill out. I just kind of mixed it, mastered it again. That took a little while, and I was supposed to go on vacation. I was gonna take a trip and go chill out and I could think about it. It took that didn't end up happening. So I just turned my phone off for 2 or 3 days, and then it was, let's go talk about it and break it all down. So it's a relief. It's finally done, but it's kind of kept going. So I haven't had a chance to chill on it.
Those breaks are important, right? Those just vacation breaks, just shut your brain off breaks.
Yeah. I really wanted that one. I really
More of those margaritas.
I needed it. I just wanted to go be by myself, just camp out in the woods by myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just be completely solo. And just chill out. I was just made 40. I was just wanted to go chill out and go, wow. Reflect. Wow, this first 40's been pretty cool. What's gonna happen in the next? And it was boom, New York City, Tonight Show, Questlove looking at me. I was like, this is not what the plan was.
Sometimes you gotta force the plan, and all those other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have a lot of people that make happy.
Absolutely, but I'm also excited to do it. Sometimes if I get too comfortable, I get comfortable just being comfortable.
Right.
And
then nothing gets made.
Yeah, I kind of like to get out there, get the nerves going, blood going a little bit.
Yeah.
Get out in front of folks and figure it out.
Yeah. Well, that's a little bit of a vacation from the creative process of making it, right? Because the process of making, I know you were locked up.
Yeah.
You lock yourself up.
Yeah.
You do it. When you do it, you go all in.
Well, I think I still care about this shit.
You can tell.
I really care. People are like, what the hell are you making a whole album for? It's about singles. I'm like, I still like listening to a full record, putting a record down, having the needles scratch the thing and playing it, and then, flipping that other side and seeing what's happening. I still like listening to a record from top to bottom.
If there's anything that I've ever learned, is that to do what you like to do.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what the trend of the business is. Just fucking do what you like to do.
Yeah.
You like albums, make a fucking album.
Yeah, sure. And so that's what I did. I was locked in. A lot of it was by choice too. It was I just love being in the spot. I built a studio. I was like, well, why not fucking use it?
Yeah.
So that's what I did, kind of to a fault. My wife was like, you gotta get out of there. Trying to hang with you, get me out of the house, socialize me and stuff, but I was just locked in, nerding out, trying to make noise, organize noise.
But the end is beautiful.
Thanks,
The end result is beautiful.
Thank you. Thanks.
There's so many layers to the music, man. I got it last night. They sent me a link, but then the link needed a passcode, and I couldn't get a passcode, and then last night they sent me the link. So while I was writing last night, I went in the store to listen to the whole album.
Awesome.
So many, the music, the sounds, right off the bat, there's so many layers. It's it's very, you can tell there's so much thought into it.
There's a lot of smoke in the air.
Yeah.
A lot of mezcal. a lot of female flowing. Yeah, it was just, and there was nobody saying, you know, usually for me, people expect a certain thing, you know, and I could have talks like, no strings on the album, stay away from singing falsetto stuff because your core fans don't like it. And I was like, I just don't give a fuck. Like, I didn't care. It was in the middle of COVID.
Yeah.
So everybody was locked down, and I was like, the phone was down, nobody was talking to anybody. I got weird. But it's folks that are in the business, and you know, I guess people. I've been told that I'm a hard act to put on a shelf. You don't know where to put me, so they don't know how to market. So this confused kid who plays power chords and listens to Nirvana, who also loves Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre, who thinks that Thelonious Monk is one of the baddest dudes on the planet, who wants to play harmonica like